I missed him yesterday. He had an emergency. Press all was early. Yeah, but Mallory.
The August 16th, 2022 Committee on Ways and Means is now called to order. I'll call on Councilman Shade for our invocation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us set about doing the will of the people of Charleston, and in so doing, let us be people of goodwill. Therefore, we pray that the Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord let his face shine upon us and be gracious to us. And the Lord look upon us kindly and give us peace. Amen.
Amen. Do I have a motion on the July 19th, 2022 minutes? Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Bids and purchases. Everyone got a copy of it on their desk, right? Okay.
Second.
Okay, moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on bids and purchases? If not, all in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Item number 4, Housing and Community Development. Approval to request and execute a contract in the form of an approved corporation council between the City of Charleston and LS3P for the donation of design services for the Hope Center. Any discussion? Mayor?
Mr. Chairman and fellow members of council, I don't know that they're here. I don't think so. But I just want to shout out to LS3P. I guess you've noted here, but they are donating their services to build this building, and not just a little drawing, conceptual drawing. They're taking it all the way through construction documents and permitting at no charge. And they're asking as many of their subs and other civil engineers. I know Forsberg Engineering has already agreed to participate on the same level. So as you know, we have a fundraising effort to help pay for this building, and to have the architectural and engineering services provided at no charge is a huge lift, a huge step in the right direction to get the Hope Center built, the new Hope Center. And I just want to thank them publicly. They're really public spirited, terrific to donate these services to us. So thank anybody you know with LS3P when you see them, and Forsberg.
It's been moved and properly second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor. Councilmember Mitchell.
Yeah, I don't want discussion, but I just want to applaud them for doing what they're doing, because that's a lot of money that they could have made off of this, but they're doing it, as giving back to the community, so to speak. And it's also a community I represent. So kudos to them. Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. Item 5 is the authorization to execute an intergovernmental agreement between SCDOT in the city regarding the construction and maintenance of the Ashley River pedestrian bridge. Do I,
Move. Second.
any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. You had a Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did bring this up in a different meeting in traffic and transportation, so I just wanted to say I'm not for the pedestrian bridge. I think we have other glaring issues to spend money on, but I understand that this agreement needs to happen in order for grant funding, but I just wanted to state that for the record. That's sort of my no vote.
Okay, no. Any, yes.
So just
Councilmember.
briefly, Mr. Chairman, I was going to bring this up with my report on TNT, but just for council's information, this intergovernmental agreement is a prerequisite to us getting our final grant agreement in place, which is in turn a prerequisite to us getting the final design team in place, which of course is prerequisite to building this project. We got a report yesterday on all that. So this intergovernmental agreement is with the DOT, and that will then put us in place to finish our process of application. I understand that we may get some even more good news somewhere in the future on where we are with our funding and all this. So lots going on, all positive. So I'd certainly recommend approval of this.
Okay, we have one, the nay was recorded, the nay vote was recorded. Okay. So moved. Item 6 is 6, 7, and actually 8. They're all great news for our communities.
Second.
Any discussion on item? No. Yeah, any discussion on 6, 7, and 8? Do I hear a motion? Moved and properly seconded. Any discussion? Mayor Tecklin.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and my colleagues. I just want to again thank folks, our stormwater department, Matt Fountain and his team, our Public Works Committee, who's been working on a number of these items for a while. And in addition to a couple of other items that are on the agenda, I just want to point out, we're covering moving the ball forward in every part of the city other than Daniel Island. With all due respect, they planned it so well drainage wise, they don't need these projects. So there's $3 million here asked for Johns Island for the Barberry Woods project. There's money here finally.
Finally.
Forward the design and engineering of improvements in the Central Park watershed. There's funds here for the east side of Charleston for the Cooper Jackson drainage area to also get design and permitting done. In West Ashley, Councilmember Shealy, the improvements requested for Long Branch Creek, which will tie into the funding we already provided at your request, that can help with Lake Dotterer and draining that out through the other side of the thing. And then on the west side, we're getting a gift from the county for the biggest check valve I think we've ever had installed at the west side of Calhoun Street. So the east side, the west side of the peninsula, James Island, Johns Island, and West Ashley, they're all covered here in this agenda. And it's thanks again to our stormwater department and everybody involved in making these move forward. Thank you.
And Mayor, people on the island are elated. You know how long we've been working on this one, since 2014. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. Item number 10, is it? Yes, 9.
Move for approval, item number 9.
Any discussion on item 9? That's the Long Branch Creek drainage improvements in West Ashley. If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Item 10, stormwater approval to submit.
Second.
Any discussion? Mayor?
So once again, this is grant money we're applying for. And again, total on this city council session, we're applying for about $15 million in funding from various sources that are now available to us, thanks to the state and federal government. the infrastructure money. We're trying to get our share. And the important thing is the funding that would have paid for this necessary upfit at Concord Street was money all coming out of the drainage fund. So if we get the grant, that frees up that drainage fund money for projects all over the city. And I can't thank Sarah Hagar enough. Back to Councilmember Shealy, it was your idea. Let's go ahead and hire a grants writer right after you got elected to council. She has really had a terrific year and continues to do so. As I think you know, we announced a $7 million award to the Low Line earlier today. But anyway, grant writing, she's doing a terrific job. It's really paying off.
Great things are happening. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Item 11, 12, and 13 all involve the International African American
Move for approval.
Museum.
Second.
And as we move forward in January, it's going to really be great for us to be able to experience the International African American Museum. I think it's going to make an unbelievable statement in our city and in our state. So I'm really looking forward to seeing it in its full completion. Council member?
I just had a question about the black wood, can we do something productive with that?
Which item is it again? I'm sorry.
Item number 11. The language on the change order. It says, unfortunately, the black locust is not returnable for a refund. So we've got a bunch of wood that's been installed. Can we do something productive with it other than throw it away?
I doubt if they'll do that.
So interesting enough, black locust, the only place it grows is in West Virginia and surrounding states. There's one supplier that actually manufactures this, and it was purchased from them. We currently have it in storage right now. And I guess the way that we're looking at this is these are funds that the IAM has transferred to the city. So they're actually asking us, the city, to sell that wood for them and transfer the funds back or put it back into the project budget.
Okay.
With just everything going on, trying to finish up the museum, we haven't sat down with procurement on figuring out how we actually sell this material.
Okay.
Okay.
So anybody that needs black locust wood, now, or-
It's cut in 5-foot sections mostly, like a boardwalk, so. It's 2x6.
So
Any further, Mayor?
I would just say seriously that it was intended for a boardwalk, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I bet it's really high quality material that if you try to sell it and you can't get good dollar for it. I mean, there's the project over in Shadow Moss that we're going to be doing, and it needs a boardwalk, or there's some other thing coming up where we'll need a boardwalk. Let's use it if we can.
Yes, certainly. It's secured right now. It's palletized and secured in a lock facility right now. So yes.
Thanks, Mayor. You're on top of it. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. Item number 14. The Recreation Department. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So moved. Any discussion on either one of the two? If not, do I hear a motion for
So move.
second? Moved and properly second, Councilmember Sacklin.
Thank you, Chair. You guys are going too fast for this for me. I just want to congratulate Lori on number 14. I know we just passed it, but that's a great program to work in our after school programs. And it's nice to see a little bit more alignment on the academic and social emotional learning piece. So Lori, good job. Thank you.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, let's go to Cultural Affairs. Oh, I'm sorry, all in favor? Say aye. The ayes have it. Let's go to Cultural Affairs, 17, 18, 19, and 20.
Approval.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. item 21 and item 22, which I think are just great work by staff, Mayor. And I want to thank you for allowing them to do that. And I'm sure you have something to say about both of them. Go ahead.
Well, yes, and I would move that we take both 21 and 22 together, if that's
Second.
acceptable. And we started with the second one, number 22, to address the minimum pay of not just one department of our city, but all of our city employees. And this has been a goal of all of us for years now, and it seems like every budget year came along and we're always tight and constrained that we do what we can. But this is a solid, and I'll note, a mid-year adjustment to our salaries. We don't normally do that. We normally wait till the new budget year starts. But thankfully, Amy and the great team, and they finished their audit, their review of last year's budget, and our revenue was a little higher than what we had budgeted. So to invest that back into our employees is job number one right now for us, y'all. We've been looking at the statistics of competitive pay in today's labor market. Typically, government lags behind the private sector, and that's continues to be true. We're behind the eight ball trying to play catch up, to be honest with you. But I hope it's a show of good faith that we are trying to catch up. We're adjusting our minimum pay for all employees, and then but that only applied to about 475 employees that they would actually see a little difference in their paycheck. So I thought it was also appropriate to bring to y'all forward an additional bonus for all of our employees across the board, and same amount no matter what your salary is. And that's what number 21 is. And again, we were able to do this based upon the additional revenue we had. If y'all remember correctly, we actually passed a 3 mil increase on property taxes that never went into effect, because we said if we got the ARPA funds in order to cover it, that we wouldn't even use that 3 mils. So that didn't happen. And then in addition to not needing the 3 mils, we also had enough revenue to basically, this is about the same amount. This 3.4 million is a little less than 3 mils. And so, so it's almost like a double gift in a way to our city budget, that is. But to bring forward another bonus for all of our employees be $1,250 after taxes. So it's a little more expense to the city than just that figure. And then half of that amount for our part-time employees. So we got a lot of work to do, everyone. We were at the Public Safety Committee just an hour and a half ago and heard reports from fire and police departments. Frankly, Mr. Chairman and all my colleagues, it's all of our city employees really deserve to be paid fairly more than what they're making now. I know we've tried, we're going to have to look at every penny that we can dedicate it to this for next year's budget as well. But this is a good step in the right direction. And thank y'all for supporting it and supporting our employees.
Yeah, there was one thing that came out of that meeting in public safety that really stood out for me. And that is, if our staff and our departments are doing as well as they're doing, given their staffing levels, can you imagine what they can do if they were fully staffed? Meaning we really need to think about that, because they're really breaking their backs to keep our city functional. I mean, we have some shortfalls. Everybody's talking about the trash and some other stuff. But I think that we'll get there. And I think that this is one of the ways that we can get there by giving people a $1,250 bonus. And of course, part-time, much less. So Mayor, I applaud the effort of our budget division and our human resource division to really have been listening to council members and staff in terms of what their needs are. I think I saw Councilman Saccharin's hands first, then Councilman Shea.
Thank you, Chair. I just want a clarifying question for myself. So I know some organizations categorize part-time employees differently. So when we say part-time, it's all of our hourly staff, regardless of where they work. So when you add the part-time and full-time, it's every city staff member. Okay.
Yes.
Regardless of how many hours they work or,
That's my understanding.
okay.
Councilman Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm pleased that we have the opportunity to be able to have our finances in such a state that we're able to do this. As mentioned before, those of us who supported this mill increase for our budget last time did so with the hope that our economy was going to turn around and or the federal government was going to come and help us out along the way, which they did. And our economy did turn around, particularly locally, our economy turned around. We got more revenue than we had predicted. And this is quite frankly a nice bonus to give to our employees. And as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, on our Public Safety Committee meeting, we spent about an hour and a half talking about pay and retention. I'll get into that at the appropriate time. But this is just a drop in the bucket to the overall more serious problem that we have in the city with our pay. I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad we have the situation that we can do this. We will take up the next item that's going to hopefully project us into the next sphere of discussion of dealing with this. But I think the public just needs to be aware that this is not the final solution. This is not the end of the line. This is just a pat on the back, so to speak, to our employees, which they are well deserving. And we need to do more, but I'm glad we have the opportunity to address this. Thank you, sir.
Any other comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Item number 23, Planning Preservation and Sustainability Resolution. Moved and properly second. Any discussion on item number 23? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll call on Councilmember Shade for the Committee on Real Estate. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. He used to be. I'm sorry.
You know what? Let's let Peter give this one.
Here. Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry.
Um,
Chairman Appel.
No problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Real Estate Committee met yesterday afternoon and we covered an enormous amount of ground. The first two items on our agenda had to do with approving rental agreement for Festival Hall regarding the Moja Arts Festival coming up this fall. And that was approved unanimously. We then approved a second amendment to the management and operating agreement regarding the CVB building on Meeting Street to sort of kind of true up some expenses associated with the upfits they've done in that property. You should check it out. It's really quite fantastic what they've done over there. Then we approved an amendment to the lease agreement between the city of Charleston and the aquarium regarding the Maritime Center. This is to facilitate student access to the waterfront. They're going to build some railings and things of that nature out on the docks. And it will not be an exclusive use of that facility. It'll be open to the public as well, but this will be more of an opportunity for the students that the aquarium seeks to educate over at the Maritime Center to have direct access and engagement with the water, which is just a really, really special thing. And a remark was made at the committee yesterday that in the not too very distant future, we're going to have a much expanded footprint of the aquarium. Of course, the International African American Museum right next door. It's really going to be a pretty incredible waterfront there, all based around education and all kinds of heritage, aspects of the community and the Low Country. So we're all looking forward to that. We then adopted a measure involving Morrison Yard. We then approved a utility easement out on Daniel Island to run some power to some soccer and lacrosse fields. That all passed unanimously. And then we approved a right of purchase involving 56 Noonan Street. This is a little bit complicated, but this is one of the properties where the city of Charleston has participated in, ensuring, affordable housing, and the property has gone into foreclosure, but under some of the legal agreements we have in place, the city's allowed to step in and make sure that property is not taken out. So we're going to have the authority to step in, and the property is worth considerably more than the $135,000 that we approved. The next two items had to do with a really impressive piece of affordable housing infill development over on America Street. 6 homes are going to be brought to market by JJR Development, a entity that really needs no introduction around here. Jeff Roberts, its principal, they do a tremendous amount of award-winning work in the city in partnership with Gianna Shaw Johnson, her department, everybody else at the city. This is going to be a really, really impressive development once it's all said and done. And it wasn't easy, but Jeff and his team navigated the process effectively. And hopefully this can be a model for future private public collaboration in the affordable housing space downtown and elsewhere. Then we approved an escrow agreement regarding Long Savannah. This has to do with the acquisition of property under the development agreement for Long Savannah Parkway. And then finally, we approved the necessary documents regarding some utilities that were constructed incident to the Credit One Stadium improvements over on Daniel Island. That, of course, passed unanimously as well. And then we gave unanimous approval to 4 annexations, 3 of which are in West Ashley, 1 of which was on James Island and and Riverland Terrace, and 4 new properties into the city of Charleston. And then we concluded with 2 executive session items, 1 involving the Children's Museum and 1 involving a discussion about acquiring some property.
One small correction. Letter E was deferred, request deferral by staff. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Just a question in terms of discussion on H and I. As I look at the cost of developing affordable housing in our city, it's astronomical. I think, if I'm not correct, and you look at the numbers, and you also look at the numbers of what we're doing at Archer, we're averaging around $400,000 a square foot to build affordable housing. That's a lot of money. I just bring that up because I think it's something that we really need to start thinking about. But $400,000, okay?
And to your point, Mr. Chairman, and the owner could probably correct me on, I didn't bring my notes with me, but the cost for the person to buy that affordable housing with the subsidy is around $200,000. So you just sort of take that into proper context. I am dating myself, and I will talk about this a little bit, but the house I own on Trapman Street, I bought downtown, right off of Broad Street, was for $67,000 in 1982. And that was considered a very nice piece of property off of Broad Street. So $200,000 would have bought you a very nice house anywhere in the peninsula. And in order for someone to afford a house on the peninsula, you pay $200,000 only because the city is subsidizing the balance of that property. And that's not taking full account of all of the expenses that really go into with the land and the construction and everything else. So it does put things in perspective when you look at it that way. And I'm glad you pointed that out. I asked dealing with that question yesterday in our committee. The cost of housing in Charleston is going up every day.
Well, sounds like we need to go in the construction business. We voted on, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to briefly touch on some of the remarks you just made. And I'm not trying to do this because I, lost a bet to Jeff and have to give him compliments in public. I mean what I'm about to say. Jeff and his team are some of the most experienced, knowledgeable infill developers in the region. And this was not easy for him financially, from a regulatory process. It's not easy doing this. There are not many entities around that can do the sort of work that they did on this project. A lot of them would have turned tail and probably not followed through on it. City of Charleston can't do anything about the federal interest rates. We can't do anything about inflation, costs of materials, supply chain, things of that nature. But the more those issues become accelerants to the cost of housing, which we're obviously seeing, the more important it is for the city to always be critically examining our regulatory process to make it as frictionless as possible. We've got to make sure we're taking care of stormwater. We've got to make sure we're taking care of historic, preservation, architectural, considerations. But all of that friction that we have in the process becomes highlighted the more we have these headwinds from the greater economy. And this isn't easy. And we're not going to get to 16,000 units, 6 units at a time like this. This is important. It's to be celebrated, but it's going to need to be an all the above approach for us to meet our goals. Thank you.
And we're in total agreement. I'm very familiar with Jeff's work, humanity's work. I'm still saying, however, that's a lot of money to develop affordable housing anywhere, especially in Charleston. Councilmember Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I was not allowed to attend executive session on items M and N yesterday for the real estate committee. When will I and other council members be notified or, updated on the discussion regarding the negotiations with the Children's Museum and whatever property is being proposed to purchase?
So
Allowed?
Will it, I guess my question is, will it come back through committee? Then come to council, or,
Well-
I wasn't allowed to attend that session, so I just want to clarify.
Well, Caroline, in the future, if you want to ever attend an executive session on the real estate committee, just reach out to me. We can talk about it ahead of time. Mike did that. We were able to get Mike in. Happy to talk to you about that. I certainly don't have any opposition to that. We got to be mindful of quorum requirements, full council, things of that nature, but just give me a heads up ahead of time. When the agenda gets published, if there's something that strikes your interest, let me know about it. Obviously, if it deals with James Island, I don't see that being a problem at all. Part of the reason we gave the consideration to Mike yesterday was because, without giving away too much confidential information here, let's just say his district was implicated in some of these discussions. We wanted to grant him that courtesy, but certainly something we can talk about and provide you with that opportunity. And I'll just go a step further and say any sort of agreement regarding a lease, regarding the sale of property, all would have to come through real estate committee outside of executive session, ultimately be voted on by us in full council. So there'll be ample public opportunity to engage in those discussions.
Okay.
So you are allowed.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think the legal department needs to address this. I don't mean to put y'all on the spot, but traditionally, if you're not on the committee, I don't think you participate in executive sessions. I think has been the standard. I think that if somebody has an item that is affecting their district and the committee wants to hear from them, I think that's one thing. But traditionally, if you are not on the committee, you do not participate in executive sessions.
Councilman Parker.
That's okay. Thank you. I wasn't looking for clarification on that, just sort of when we may expect an update on these negotiations and the consideration to purchase the property.
Mr. Mayor.
I would just add that there'll be an update for sure when there's an actionable item, which of course will come back to the committee and then to council for approval. Yeah.
I'm just when we start making exceptions, okay, that becomes problematic. It really does. Councilmember, okay. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Now, in the past, I understand the committee, but there have been times in the past where a council member that's not on the committee, who happens to be in the meeting, asked to be in the executive session, and that's a courtesy has been granted. I've never seen where a council member has been on, asked to be included, and when we said no. But from a policy standpoint, Madam Clerk, you're right, but we've done it in the past.
That's my point. Any other discussion? Yes. Ready for the question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Is there? Mayor? Councilmember
Thank you,
Siddiqui?
Mr. Chairman. Just very briefly, and because we scheduled an hour and we're only half an hour in, good job. Thank you.
Oh, good. We've got
Hopefully
time.
that bodes well.
We've got time.
Hopefully that bodes well for tonight. I just want to point out, as we went through our bids and purchases, which we take in lump sum, included in the bids and purchases was something that we've been working on around this table for a good long time. And it wasn't just a small bid and a small purchase. It was $1 million for the water management plan, which we've been talking about for a long time. I, along with some others, sat on the selection committee for the water management plan. Dale did a great job in putting it all together. And I just want to let you know that we believe that the team that has been assembled, it shows in your agenda packet that it was Black and Veatch, but it was Black and Veatch along with a huge team, which includes, among others, Wagner and Ball, which, as you recall, was one of the participants and really the main driving force of the Dutch dialogue. So as we put this $1 million forward to come up finally in the city with a comprehensive water management plan, we're actually spending monies on someone who has a long history and experience with the city and has already laid out a baseline vision for some of the things that we can be doing in the future. So I just want to make sure you all know that we collectively worked hard to put together the package. And actually, originally when it came through the committee, this committee, it was $500,000 package, it was up to $1 million. We've got a great team. And as soon as we vote on this tonight, which we've already done, and get it through city council, they're ready to go to work. So just wanted to make sure we put that out.
Is that enough?
It is enough for now, and we actually
Okay.
asked that question.
That's the point.
And I'm gonna, once it comes to asking for more money, I'll hand it off to Dale, but it definitely is going to get us into a very good place. And what that money allowed on the front end was for Black and Veatch, Wagner Ball, and like to put together really a good team that covers all our bases and allows them to look citywide. This is not going to be a Peninsula deal. This is a citywide view of a water management plan that I believe we've really put a good team together. So I just wanted to make sure that you all knew through bids and purchases, that's what we're doing tonight. Thank you all for being part of that.
Not a problem. Yes, Councilmember Greg.
Regarding the question of whether it's enough, I would say it's enough for a good start.
Right.
So I think this is a good start, but $1 million is not, for the scope of work that we're talking about, may not go very far.
That's why I raised the question. I just wanted to be a part of the record, okay? Any more discussion? Yes, Mr. Mayor.
So thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know I've made a couple of comments already and about some items on this agenda today. And maybe it's because it's a summer meeting and we've gone for a whole month. It's a little longer. We work right through it in short order again. It just amazes me how much work goes into doing all these items by our staff on all levels. And legal, by the way, has their eyes on most everything that comes before us. So they've been like doing an incredible job. But you think about the fire department, procuring 2 new trucks at $2.7 million and getting all new fire breathing apparatus just to make that happen and go through the procurement process is work. The comprehensive water plan that Councilmember Seeking just mentioned, this hope of getting a new Hope Center built. This agreement with the DOT, y'all, it's a big agreement and so important to be able to build the bike ped bridge. Already talked about the stormwater department and all those things. The change orders, and these are close to the final change orders that we'll need at the end of this project to build the International African American Museum. And I got to tell you, Edmund Most deserves a medal for his commitment and his work on getting that building built and bringing it in basically on time, on budget. I mean, the museum folks paid for the add-ons. Laurie getting wings to help our kids after school, all the real estate matters. I mean, I just got to shout out to all our departments and all the work that they've been doing. It's just really incredible.
And then I'll say again, can you imagine what they could do if they were fully staffed? This meeting's
It's
adjourned.
amazing what they did.